To answer that question, the absorption of the privileged persons in the contemporary world. Why are they absorbed in consumerism? And even those who are in the second and third world, they aspire to be caught up in consumerism. Why? We have to look at the weakness of a human being today. You see, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, when we identify with the body and mind as the self, we're in a very vulnerable predicament. It's like when you have a low immune system, you can very easily catch major diseases. There's nothing innocent about misidentifying the body and mind as the self. It's the greatest mistake. It's the foundational mistake. So, once you make this great error, you're left wide open for all kinds of complications, problems, intricacies in your sojourn through material existence. Consumerism is a disease. It's a contagious disease. And it attacks weak immune systems. What I'd like you to consider is that by considering yourself to be matter, or by having a very fuzzy, nebulous, namby-pamby understanding of your spirituality, you're left wide open for this disease to lodge in you. Because people have no clear understanding of their identity, and many of them don't even think it's important. Look, in other words, we can get on with life without understanding what the self is. It's not necessary to know these things in order to function in the so-called real world. Funny that such a scene is called the real world. But in any case, people have convinced themselves, de facto, that it's not necessary to understand clearly and precisely your identity in order to have a go at life. Indeed, in order to enjoy in life. Lacking a clear conception of what is the self. Lacking a clear laboratory grasp of what is the self, it's natural that persons will be victimized. And that's exactly what's going on today. The so-called masses are easily swayed, bewildered, duped, because they're in the wrong consciousness. That's why they're easily misled. They don't have any strong standing or strong foundation. And therefore they're easily blown away by the various fads and fashions of consumerism. They're easily manipulated into thinking they're going to be happy in that way. Consumerism is a social and economic disease. And because the immune system is weak, owing to lack of a spiritual understanding, people easily become victimized. In a real human society, you have a class of persons who are the spiritual, intelligent leaders. And they can protect the citizens from materialistic manipulation by giving the citizens comprehensive, in-depth spiritual knowledge. This is why the mass distribution of Bhagavad Gita is so important. Because Bhagavad Gita, the prime yoga text, and certainly the prime bhakti yoga text, gives you insight into what is the self, what is the supreme self, and the relationship between the two. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is all about interrelational spirituality. Generally, people consider that, okay, if I may be a bit spiritual, you may be a bit spiritual, and we have relations. But they forget all about the supreme spiritual entity, without which there can be no interrelationships that are for real between the parts. Or more precisely, the spokes need a hub. Otherwise, what's the relationship between one spoke and another? Krishna gives that knowledge in Bhagavad Gita about what is the complete whole, who are the parts, and what is the relationship between the two. In that way, you can access the spiritual reality in a genuine way, not just in a religious, beliefy, or theoretical way. This access to the spiritual reality is the cure for all material illusions. Otherwise, on a material platform, there is no solution. People will always be overwhelmed by artificial desires because they don't know what is their real desire. What is the real desire of the real self? Krishna gives that information in Bhagavad Gita and gives the process for verifying that information. What more can we want?